Welcome to this week's edition of Breeding to Win. I was lucky enough to catch up with Justin Vermaak last week at his home in Val de Vie before he makes the journey to Europe with his new venture, Gulf Racing. Unfortunately, due to the COVID circumstances, he didn't get on that aeroplane, but he will be leaving shortly, and he tells us more about Gulf Racing. Justin Vermaak has been a very familiar face in the racing and breeding industry in South Africa for many years, but he is shortly going to be leaving our shores on a new and exciting adventure with Gulf Racing. And he's taken a little bit of time out throughout the packing process this morning to chat to us all about Gulf Racing. Justin, thank you very much for having us at a very busy time for you.
No problem, Fee. It's always good to speak to you guys. It's been a long time since our first clip and interview, and I'm sure we'll see you again in the new year pretty soon.
Well, you've always been so enthusiastic, obviously, in the breeding side of the industry and the racing, and of course you've got Green Street Bloodstock together. You've also established a great relationship with racing in Singapore, but this is very new, Gulf Racing, and very exciting.
Yeah, we got, I spoke to, obviously I do a lot of work with Dr. Andreas Jacobs. I've been associated with Main Chance now for at least 8 years. I did leave the farm to do independent work for a short stint and came back in a consultancy role about 2 years ago now. And Andreas extended the opportunity to me to come to Europe and do work for him out there and help me out with a base. And when the opportunity came along, I just thought of a few other things that we could do on the side, and I've got a partner out there in the Middle East who's very big and keen on his racing, and we hashed out this idea, and we thought, you know, with Mark de Kock, who is re-establishing his yard there, obviously it's taken a bit of a pounding in terms of numbers-wise, horse numbers to train, because the export situation with South Africa has never been as poor as it is now. And he is keen on rebuilding his yard there, and we just thought that we would couple up with that renewed vigor and try and add some horses to the yard and do a bit of a joint type of venture. And a lot of his clients have joined in the horses we've put together, and I think there's obviously a lot of synergy just with the natural South African vibe and people that have been out there for many years already. We thought we'd start this Gulf Racing Club, and we had our local Green Street horse, Celtic Voyager, who was on his way to Singapore. He was in fact on that shipment with Katak and another horse called War Room, which got delayed in Mauritius for many months. And we decided, you know, that we were going to instead, with the time that was on his side, with the program in the Middle East, we thought instead of sending him to Singapore, why don't we send him to Dubai for the carnival? And obviously the Gulf Racing Club got involved, took up the slack shares, and he was the first horse, and there's now 3 that are there. 2 that are there and 1 that's flying over on the 3rd of December, who is our recent purchase at the Tattersalls Horses and Training Sale, a horse called Albion Square, who we're very excited about. And hopefully we can have a winner or 2 and then build on it each year and get more owners. Obviously once we get out there and we've got a suite at Maidan that we'll be entertaining clients and guests at, and our ownership role should grow, and hopefully we can build up our string of horses out there in Dubai, and as well as neighboring countries. Bahrain, the scene in Bahrain is really growing, Qatar and Saudi Arabia as well, so there's a lot of racing going on over there.
Fantastic, and some great stakes up for grabs. The carnival looks to be amazing, some really good stakes money. Yeah,
the prize money is really good. I mean, just handicaps on carnival meetings are just short of $100,000 US, which is just shy of 1.6 million rand at the moment. So it's, look, the monthly costs are a lot more than South African racing, as it is everywhere in the world. And obviously bloodstock that you need to be able to compete at that level is a lot more expensive than here. So, you know, it does go hand in hand, but the prize money is really good, and a couple of places over the carnival, and you sort yourself out for the entire stretch of the time that your horse is there. And our flights are paid for by the club as well for each horse that has a carnival qualifying rating, so that's always an added bonus.
Fantastic opportunities. Now, you're not going straight to Dubai, you're going to spend some time in Europe and obviously go to a few sales and grab a few more nice horses on your way.
Yeah, it's been frustrating because we've been waiting for visas, and I wanted to get to England for Tattersalls in October, obviously the biggest yearling sale in the world, along with Keeneland in the States in September. But still at the moment you can't apply for an English visa because the backlog is so long. It takes 30 working days, and we didn't have time for that, so we went straight for our Schengen visas and got them last week. So we are on the way to Hamburg on Sunday, the day after the Summer Cup. And I'll be there for about a week and a half, and then going to France for the Arcana breeding stock sale, which is in Deauville in the south. And we'll be looking at a few mares, hopefully to buy for Andreas's farm in Germany, Fahrhof. Just depending obviously on what's available and pricing. But it'll be good to get out there, and there's another sale this week at Tattersalls, which we're missing unfortunately. But France will be the first stop as in work, and then back to Germany until at least early January, and then the whole family will be off to the Emirates for the carnival, which starts on the 6th of January until the end of March. So that will be out of the European winter and into the winter in the Emirates, which is obviously a lot warmer. And then we'll come back, of course, for Nationals in April. I think the timing all suits perfectly, because Nationals is a big sale, and I like to get to all the farms before. So we'll be here for at least 3 weeks in April, go to the farm, see the Nationals draft, get out to the sale. And then it will be May time, and then the flat season in Europe starts to pick up, and that's when we will relocate to Europe, lock, stock and barrel.
Busy time for you, and with a young family as well, but you've always had so much energy for getting these syndicates together, these ideas together and these plans and buying horses. And are you still going to be involved with Green Street Bloodstock here? Is that going to carry on, and all your ties in South Africa?
The Green Street we've slowed down on a while ago. We actually haven't bought a new horse for Green Street since I think 2019. We've had our older horse String, which has been running and still are, the Crimson King, the Winter Derby winner, ran second in a stakes race behind Silver Host the other day. He's obviously our main horse running at the moment, but other than that, once those horses run out, then we won't renew our colours. Green Street we started I think 5 years ago now, have more than 100 winners, multiple group horses, multiple group 1 placed horses. I'm very proud of what we did with Green Street. It was as I would quantify it as a raving success. When we started, there was a few giggles and smirks around because, between Bernard Fadeherb, who was involved with me in the start, we were younger guys then and new in the bloodstock world, myself particularly buying horses at the sales, and we started with 20 grand and 50 grand horses, and because we bought so well at that level and managed to sell horses to Mauritius and trade well, then our owners upped the budget, and we became, I think, when we had about 15 horses last year, 8 of them ran on Gold Cup Day, on Champions Day in Durban, and they were, I think, more than half of our horses were rated 94 and above, and I think the thing that is the best thing that happened with Green Street is a lot of other syndicate operations popped up afterwards. I'm by no means saying that we were the first, we weren't, but I think we were the first to do it in that Australian commercial type of way, and it encouraged a lot of other people to start up. It's not an easy thing to do because there is no export market and the stake money is pretty low. So if you're syndicating horses in this country commercially, you either have to charge very high admin fees or take huge cuts of the stake money, which just depletes your ownership even more. So it's very hard for a middleman to do it and make money. But I think it's something that a lot of trainers should be doing more of, because they're benefiting by filling their boxes and having owners and horses and putting horses together. So a lot of people doing it now, and I always said, I wish there were 50 Green Streets, because racing would be a better place. And with the stake money going up, and our yearling sales have been phenomenal. Our 2-year-old sales recently, the prices have been crazy. So buying bench is strong, and hopefully racing can keep picking up. We're just missing the export trick, and that would be the last tick in the box.
Well, you can certainly be very proud of Green Street Bloodstock. Of course, those colours have become quite famous now, and you've brought a lot of people into racing, and I'm sure a lot of them will carry on.
Well, a lot have, yes. We've got, there's our whole mob of guys are still involved. When I go to the sales and buy horses, and especially in Johannesburg, Lawrence Verners is always happy to take shareholders, and the guys come in. So you always see Steve Bailey and Dave Musikanth and Wilfred Purcell, and these type of guys are always in a lot of our horses. And Kenny Govender, who I'm not sure if he had his first horse with us. I think he may have, but he hadn't been in racing for a long time. And now, you see he's got runners with many trainers all over the show. So a lot of the guys always send me the lot numbers that trainers have bought and asking opinions. So the relationships are still good. And, you know, like, we've forged great relationships with a bunch of them. I mean, there was 4 or 5 Green Street owners that were at my wedding, which we had a small wedding because it was during COVID, and we've become very good mates. And, you know, other owners that have met each other through Green Street, when they travel down to Cape Town, they all meet each other up and go for lunches. And so there's good camaraderie between everyone, and it's definitely something that we had a lot of fun doing. Unfortunately, obviously, with my role with Lawrence Verners and getting back at Main Chancellor, I had a lot of work to do, and we had to focus more on things with higher revenue, I suppose.
But it's fabulous. That's what it needs to be all about, not just going to the races, but being part of a big family and enjoying it all. But to get involved with golf racing, people must just contact you.
Yeah, look, we've had just contact me, and we were all over social media. We've had a really phenomenal response to the horses we bought and the owners that have joined us. We bought a Frankel horse that Mike bought off the Dubai Horses and Training sale, who sold out in a day. And in the Cape, Etienne Braun and Wayne Mealing, Brent Donnelly got involved. Suzette Viljoen took a share. And this bigger horse in England, who was £65,000, he's flying over in December 3. Arun Chadha took a very big share in him. He'll be running in his colours. Nice to have someone of his stature joining us. John Finlayson got involved. Lawrence Verners is involved as well. So a lovely cross-section of owners, and all horses sold out at the moment. I'm not sure if we're going to be getting another horse because we're getting quite late to carnival time. But if we do, we'll put it out there on social media. But I think now we're happy with the 3 horses we've got. We'll go and race and enjoy ourselves in Dubai and hopefully have a winner or 2. And then we'll look to build the string throughout next year for the carnival after that. And I think there's nice synergy because the horses that are going a mile or so plus, we're going to send to Matthew de Kock in Australia afterwards. And at least there's something to do when carnival racing is finished, and then they can always head back for the new season and race for the prize money in Australia, which is phenomenal. So just look out for all our releases, and we're fully active on social media. And when horses come up, you've got to be quick because they don't seem to last too long. But we've got a box, as I said, a racing suite at Meydan. We're doing a trip to Cheltenham. Steve Bailey and I we've hired a house for Cheltenham Week in England, and we've got 20 spots, which is also about full bar 1 or 2 spaces. We'll have a nice function, which we're doing in conjunction with Full Giorgio for Super Saturday at Meydan. So it's not just ownership, there's sports travel and horse racing travel, and just a lot of fun.
Really, really exciting. I love it. Doors open in every direction. Lots of fun to be had for all. But anyway, we wish you all the best on your travels, and we will be following you closely, and really looking forward to seeing golf racing in action.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Justin. Really looking forward to following Justin Vermaak over the coming months. It really, really is an exciting new venture. We'll be following golf racing closely, and we wish the team Vermaak all the best. We're really in full flow of the season and looking forward to big race meetings such as the Queen's Plate and the Met. And we've got Donovan Everett on today's show to tell us a little bit more about how to get yourself on the racecourse. It's great to have spectators racing again, and we're looking forward to these big meetings. It's great to have spectators back on course once again, and with the Cape season really hotting up, Donovan Everett is with me this morning to chat about what's in store and what we've got to look forward to. Donovan, good morning. Thanks for chatting to me today.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Isn't it wonderful to see spectators back on course? It's early days of the Cape season, but it's really been a good vibe so far.
No, it's been fantastic, and you know, I must admit it's been somewhat challenging as well. I mean, I think we all understand very well what the challenges have been from a COVID perspective, and new legislation, and having to abide by sort of new regulations as such. So you know, it's very positive in certain aspects, but in other aspects, as I've mentioned, it's been extremely challenging to get everybody to understand you know, what process we have to follow in order to get our sort of legal permits to allow people back on course. You know, so you know, it's exciting to be in a position where spectators are now going to start coming back on course. But there's a lot of ground to cover in terms of getting it sort of foolproof as such.
Yeah, you're certainly very well geared up for it at the gate and everything. And really speaking, people have just got to have their vaccination certificate with them and they can come racing again.
It's as simple as that, I think, but within making that statement, we've also got to be very pragmatic. It's a very contentious issue for a lot of people, and we've got to respect that, and we've got to understand exactly where they're coming from as well. But from a business aspect, it's absolutely vital that we indicate to the marketplace and to the industry that we're open for business. There's a lot of aspects that are attached to opening up to the general public, and I think in order for the racing industry to get going, it's vitally important that we demonstrate due process, so we can get it going. And there's a lot of aspects that are along with that. The various commercial discussions that we've been having over the last sort of year and a bit all hinge on horse racing opening up. And if we can't open up, unfortunately, those discussions sort of fall by the wayside, and the much needed investment and stimulation that we need in the industry then goes onto the back burner. So there's a lot of connotations to it within the challenges that we got, and I think probably the biggest thing is that there's no there's no system that we can sort of adhere to that has been in existence before. There's no case study, there's no how-to guide. The legislation is brand new, and so we have to almost sort of think outside the box as to how do we implement this successfully, and how do we refine those systems so that the patrons, our stakeholders, everybody coming on course has a seamless experience from when they arrive here to when they interact with our product. So that's going to take some time, and that's going to take sort of investment. It's already taken investment, and that's also going to take some feedback as well as criticism in order for us to get it right. What we have done is we have onboarded a expert consultancy business called Alliance Safety, a gentleman by the name of Mike Lord. So he sits on various advisory panels to government. He's also the chairman of the Events Council for South Africa. And him and his team have been advising us in terms of how best operationally to implement the required protocols. He's also been very pivotal in writing the plans to the various government organisations that we have to sort of abide by. And like I say, I think it's going to be a process, and hopefully we'll be able to get through that process fairly quickly to get to a point where it's a seamless experience for our stakeholders in order to attend race days.
Yeah, well, so far there's been some very happy faces throughout the Cape season, getting people back on course. It's been quite busy upstairs in the restaurant, and people have really enjoyed being back, and I think they will do their best to adhere to all the protocol rules. And we've got big race meetings coming up, obviously. We're hoping to have a sort of normal Queen's Plate Festival and a normal Met.
100%. I mean, we've got some really, really big race days coming, and it's important that from a Cape season perspective, we put our best foot forward. We've done some improvements over the last year. We've corrected some foundational elements of the business as well, and I must say that the board of Cape Racing has really been unbelievably supportive in terms of leadership and direction through a very difficult period. And the board really just wants to see positivity coming through and the improvement of the overall product. And I think horse racing and the industry that we sit in currently, we're not excluded. There's a whole economy out there in different businesses that are also struggling with the same dynamics that we're struggling with. So it's important that we put our best foot forward, and it's also vitally important that we keep on improving week in and week out. And I think from a racing perspective, there's some very exciting times ahead with obviously full racing that's now legally in play. Our board is very busy at the moment in discussions with full racing as to what the benefits to Cape Racing are going to be, and what the bigger picture is going to look like. And I must say I've had some insight into some of the strategic direction that full racing is implementing from a broadcast perspective, but also from an overhaul of infrastructure and IT systems. And it's a very, very exciting position to be in. And I must say that in 3 or 4 months' time, when they're fully in the pound seat, we're going to see all those exciting innovations that are going to come through, and it's much needed. Those exciting innovations also help us to have better discussions with regards to commercial investment. So it's quite a pivotal period for racing, and I think it's important that from a stakeholders perspective that we really support each other during these times, so that we can get to the position that we need to be in.
It's going to be fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to the months ahead. And in terms of the Queen's Plate and the Met, can we expect the big hospitality marquees will be back and the lawn will be filled and the people will hopefully be on course with the fashion and all of that will be back to relatively normal days?
I think that's the whole objective. At the moment, we're going through this period of change, and I think change is difficult for anybody out there. They don't understand change, and when you're going through change, it's a difficult process to have to go through. And once you've been through it and you're successful in terms of the objectives you need to achieve, you then look back at it and you realise why you needed to go through that. And I think specifically for Queen's Plate and for Met and some of the other bigger race days we've got planned as well, it's important that we affect that change now. So we can see the results then. And for example, the racing aspect of it, if we are demonstrating due process now to the government organisations that we have to abide by, it makes it easier when we do get to the Met and we do get to the Queen's Plate to then expand in terms of the amount of numbers we can have on course, because we've already demonstrated to government that we've got the process and the operational planning into place. So then, when we're applying to have more than 2,000 people on course, that confidence is already installed, that planning is already in place, that systems are already set up. So, the idea of implementing, this right now is going to have tangible benefits further down the line. So that's the objective, and hopefully when we do get to the Queen's Plate and the Met, we're able to have a lot more than just 2,000 people on course. We're able to have 5,000 people on course. Those sort of things speak to further commercial investment, speaks to the upliftment of the industry, and it also gets new people into the game as well, which is what we vitally need.
Yeah, no, there's so much to look forward to. I'm really, really excited about it all. But I must say, while we've had a bit of a lull with COVID, Cape Racing's done a fantastic job of marketing and being out there on social media. We've had lots of little video clips of what's been going on, and it's been great. It's kept everyone's appetite wet.
100%. I think one of the key objectives for us when we first started was to up the levels of communication. To our stakeholders, let them know what is going on, what our plans are, and slowly we've been improving. One of the other aspects was to look at the marketing initiatives. How do we implement fresh, new marketing initiatives, and how do we increase the media platforms that are available to us? When we assessed it initially, the circle of conversation and the circle of media specific to this industry was very tight. It was very small. There wasn't any narrative going out into the general public because those media platforms simply weren't there. So to create fresh appeal, we needed to expand on those media platforms. We needed to go national, and that's what we put into place. With this campaign, This Is Racing, we are on all the airport TVs. We're in 24 shopping malls. We're in transit TV, which is taxi ranks, train stations. We're in 524 golf courses, and we control those interfaces, and we are able to literally at a touch of a button control the narrative that goes out. Who are the players in the game, who are the horses to watch, who are the jockeys to watch, who the trainers are for the season, and to start creating a following outside of that very small circle that we initially had. We now start creating a much bigger following. Also, to have a platform like that allows us to have bigger commercial discussions, because now we can substantiate the return on investment to sponsors coming on board, the fact that we're now talking to a greater audience. So there's been a lot of groundwork that's been done, and we're also constantly assessing our systems and constantly assessing our platforms. And we've had some tremendous support from the stakeholders out there, which we really must thank them for. And we've also had some constructive criticism as well. So I think it's important that we're very versatile in terms of the feedback that we get, and we implement it accordingly.
Yeah, it's all really, really refreshing. It's great news. This racing and for racing, absolutely fantastic. Well, we look forward to the rest of the season ahead. Thanks, Donovan, for taking the time, and we look forward to getting the people back on course.
Fantastic. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Donovan. Really looking forward to the big meetings ahead. Lots happening. It's exciting times. The Cape Summer season is now in full swing, and we look forward to having you all back on track. The Summer Cup was due to be run last Sunday, but due to weather conditions, the race went off on Tuesday. It was a great day's racing, and congratulations to all the connections. Andrew Bonn was lucky enough to catch up with winning rider Kelvin Habib.
It's almost impossible to describe the joy of being able to present a young man with such a bright future. Young man called Kelvin Habib, for racing, the World Sports Betting Summer Cup winner. He's living his dream. And we're going to now catch up with him and find out how he got into the academy and the events leading up to this incredible achievement, the pinnacle of his racing career. I'd like you to take us back to the time that you decided that you're going to the academy and you're going to initiate the process. What happened there?
When I first applied for the academy, I was 15 years old. Look, I was a little bit tall, so the academy was a little bit worried about me growing. And yeah, so I ended up not getting accepted at my first attempt, and I tried a second time and it didn't work out for me either. But then
You hadn't got any shorter.
I hadn't got any shorter. You know, the bricks on my head didn't work. But anyway, yeah, look, unfortunately, yeah, it didn't work out for me. But fortunately, I was able to go to Mr. Marie's work rider program, and I spent a year with him, and he taught me a lot. And yeah, I started riding in the work riders program. I rode in it for a year, and I rode 9 winners out of 55 rides, and yeah, it all went
Just
well.
a second here, Diego, come into the picture over here, because don't move, Cal. It's quite interesting that Diego de Gouveia, I won't tell you what Paul Lafferty calls him. It was the chirp of the day as you come into the winner's enclosure or the second box. I'm absolutely gutted, but I'm so happy for Cal.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's one of my good friends. We went through the ranks together through the work riders, and just nice to see that, you know, we're both doing well. And it's always that extra special when one of your good friends that, you know, you started from the bottom with come and do big things.
Golden Pheasant behind that. Flying Carpet is looking to get into the race. So is Johnny Hero. Asterix behind that. It's now wide open. Majestic Mozart. Golden Pheasant to the outside. Flying Carpet is coming home well up the inside. Majestic Mozart and Flying Carpet. They get to the line. Flying Carpet got there.
You've had a few moments for the blood to course through your veins and to sort of evaluate what's happened. And you said a dream. Does it still feel like a dream?
Still hasn't sunken in, but I'm sure later tonight it will.
They say there's 20/20 vision in hindsight. You can always look back and you can think why it happened. But the first story I want to touch on is the love that this horse got from your wife, because to me that is the most romantic story of the whole lot. Obviously, Sean Terry, a master trainer, a champion trainer of the highest order, 5 Summer Cups now to his name. But take us through that routine.
Yeah, look, as you said, Mr. Terry, phenomenal job, and you know, I was just privileged to ride for him in the race. And yeah, as I said, my wife Chandra, she's recently joined Mr. Terry's team, helping him a little bit. And yeah, the moment I got the ride on him, she said she's going to go give him love every single day and make him feel like the champion that he is. And yeah, it must have been her special magic that worked on him, because yeah, came down to the start, he went down like a pitcher, and he was just always in that mode that never lose.
Sean Terry remarked to me in the winner's enclosure, he said, I'm glad you came back to catch the second gallop, because somehow he was working his horses really early in the morning at 5:30, and I just missed that first gallop. I'm so glad I came back for the second one.
Yeah, look, he's been doing really well. He had an amazing prep into the race, and yeah, you could just see his coat turning, and you could just see everything turning about him. You know, he was going into that mode where you could just see he was going to run a huge race, and yeah, I was just lucky to be aboard him, to be truly honest with you.
Well, I spoke to Sean a few weeks before, and he said, listen, you know, if Tierra del Fuego doesn't get in, I'll find one for Kelvin, because we remarked about the dedication and the injury that you'd incurred and the hard work that it takes to get back.
Yeah, look, as Mr. Terry said, yeah, I had a nasty fall, and he was a huge influence on my comeback. I used to go to the tracks every Saturday and then just watch a couple of the horses work, and we would go for a breakfast. And you know, he always said to me, don't rush. You just come back when you're ready, do the necessary things that needs to be done. And yeah, I went through the motions, and it was a lot of hard work. And you know, you sit back and you say, I wish I was back for that. And it's just all meant, you know, he's written the script, and so you just have to live it. And yeah, all praise goes to him. You know, I really still hasn't sunken in, but it's an amazing feeling.
Well, you richly deserve it, and obviously there has to be made mention of the professor, Mark Terry, because he doesn't leave one stone unturned.
No, yeah, listen, as I said in the interview, that we had we sat down and we went through each one of his races and sort of earmarked what we thought we did right in that race and what he thought he did wrong in that race, and sort of just how we would plan the race out. And I just also got to thank both Mr. Terry and Mark, because they both almost just left it to me. They said, here's plan A, B and C, but we're leaving it to you, ride your race. And that gave me a huge amount of confidence in myself, and they trusted me to ride the race and have the feel, and everything just worked out beautifully.
His run in the Victory Moon was most encouraging.
Yeah, look, I think so. Mr. Terry did give me an option on who I wanted to ride, and that probably leaned me towards him, because he was finishing like a train, and I just sort of thought that this would bring him on beautifully for this run over 2,000 meters.
And finally, people ask the question, where did this win come from? You only need to look at that one finish with MK's Pride, War of Athena, and him banging it out to the line. I think it was the Emperor's Palace Ready to Run Cup, and there was just short heads separating those three horses. And look what they've done subsequent to that.
Yeah, and he was a maiden, giving War of Athena 2.5 kilos, and today we got weight from her. So, look, I think he came a stronger, well-prepped horse into this race, and Mr. Terry, he's a master at this race. And from a kid, my dad ran second in this race, and I remember jumping up and down in the grandstands. And from day one, when I started riding, I just said, this is the race I want to win. So, dream come true, and it's amazing. I can't believe it.
Was that by any chance for St. John Gray?
Yes, he ran second in a horse called Blue Sky Country for St. John Gray. Got beat by Ella de Victoria, but we
no shame in that.
Yeah, no shame in that. But we celebrated like he won, and I'm sure my parents and my brother Mauritius will be jumping up and down. The youth supporters, and as I said, my family, my beautiful wife, everyone supports me, and I've just got an amazing team behind me. I hope I haven't forgot anyone. And just one special mention to Barty Leisha. I had a sit down with him yesterday, and we just had a small chat, and we didn't even chat about the race, but we just chatted about winning big races, what he would do in Hong Kong, and just more insight on what a champion did. And I think it all sat with me today.
Well, I'm going to finish off by saying the consequence of coincidence is just incredible, because look at these colours, Hyperpaint Syndicate. Paul Peter fought for you to remain at the academy. I know they wanted to send you back at one stage. You've got the blue cap of Fundamali, your loyal sponsor, and in the background we've got 4 Racing with the red, white and blue. Could it work out any better?
Yeah, no, I think you said it all. I think in all the excitement, sorry Keens, I forgot to mention Fundamali, but always appreciated of him. And as you said, Mr. Peter played a huge role into my getting into the academy. And look, there was a lot of people that had helped me get into the academy, and I just appreciate every day that I can ride, because I wasn't meant to be a jockey. I was going to be too big, and there was a lot of people that fought for me. And funny story, my first winner was from Mr. Terry. My first grade one was from Mr. Terry, so second one, must be an omen.
Well, you are a great credit to your sport, young man. Just keep flying high, keep the flying carpet underneath you.
No, thank you very much.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's edition of Breeding to Win. We look forward to seeing you next Sunday as we creep closer to Christmas, and there's more big race meetings ahead. We'll see you then.